how would you define success?
So,
Obsession, more or less, no? You need to be obsessed, perhaps?
yes, you have to be obsessed with it.
What's something about Elon that the world doesn't know but should?
He's a very nice man. He's a very unusual sort of person. They went to school in a Rolls Royce most of the time. When I think of Elon going into meetings, I say, God, please give him strength of mind, strength of body.
Greatness is born or is made?
Value your son. Look for his qualities. I bought the home that Elon Kimbal grew up in, which is today the home of the European ambassador.
What advice would you give a 19-year-old with a big idea?
Those are the things that matter.
Well, thank you very much for being with us today.
Okay.
Thank you. So, Errol, the first question is, what's the single most important thing every successful business should have?
Well, I would say a few things, but you have to have a leader who's driving the thing. That's the first thing. You have to have somebody who's really focused and driving whatever it is you're doing to the extent of cutting out everything else. A good leader.
A good leader.
Everything comes after that.
And what would you say are the most, let's say, important qualities, perhaps the three main qualities every successful entrepreneur should have, or every successful leader should have?
Well, yes, willpower and staying power and determination and belief in what you're doing. Those are the things that matter. If you have those, then everything comes right.
Very good. Just for context wise, can you tell us about your background story, but specifically, where does your entrepreneurial spirit come from? So in the US, we hear lots of lemonade stand kids. Would you say you had something similar when you were growing up? Like, where
Yes,
does
yes.
that...
I grew up, poor. I was. My parents were immigrants. My mother was an immigrant. My father was a local who'd been in the war for 6 years. He came back very damaged from the war, Second World War, and so I grew up in very poor circumstances in a 2-room boarding house till I was about 10, and so I had to think for myself how to improve, how to get ahead. I found that I was the best at school. Usually, I was the best pupil in academic work. So that helped me a lot. And, I suppose it all flowed from there, and a little bit of luck here and there. And, so that's what you do. So within a few years of, in order to get to university, I had to get grants. I couldn't go to university without scholarships. So I actually won 7 scholarships to go to university. So that helped me. And then after university, I immediately didn't have anything, but within 2 or 3 years, I was, doing quite well. And within about 4 years of leaving university, I bought the home that Elon Kimbal grew up in, which is today the home of the European ambassador to Southern Africa. So that was our home. So you can imagine, I bought that home at the age of about 26. So I was doing pretty well. And, I was doing pretty well.
Well, would you say, you mentioned luck, would you say there's the luck factor, how much influence does it have in success in general for...
Well, you've got to put yourself in the path of things. So if you're in the path of things, you either find yourself, you have to look for the opportunities. You have to look for the lucky breaks. They're sometimes fleeting and you don't see them, but if you see them, you take them. And of course, you get bad luck and you have to avoid the bad luck. So you look for the things that you could later say, well, that was a bit of luck. But really, it was a case something came and you were able to see that this is the direction to move in. On television. So then you move in the direction that that's the right direction. It's quite simple. It's what every successful man knows. You look for you are permanently looking for the quickest way, to do something, get it done, find the gaps. When obstacles come up in your way, you must immediately work on getting over them or past them or around them. And and the fact is, of course, those kind of things never stop. So, when you sometimes look at people who have done well, maybe my son Elon was a good example. You think, well, it was easy. No, it was not easy. It was very difficult. And there are many, pitfalls. It's like these video games, you have to try and keep jumping and jumping and jumping up and jumping down and jumping left and jumping right. And that's really what it's all about. And if you don't do that, you won't succeed.
Completely right. You have clearly had an amazing life, and the best is yet to come. But up until now, what would you say it's your biggest failure and your biggest success?
Well, I don't really focus on failure. I suppose personally, I've been married a couple of times that ended in divorce. That's a bit of a failure. I'm not happy about, but it's somehow something that one has to live with. I would never have divorced my first wife, but we got divorced, and I certainly wouldn't have divorced my second wife, but we got divorced. I think those are failures, and they never lead to anything good afterwards. But yeah, I'd say those kind of things. In the business world, no, I haven't had any failures. There have been failures, but you absorb them. If it's you just take it in your stride. You don't let them change the general direction of things.
And Errol, would you say greatness is born or is made?
What is what?
Greatness, like let's
Oh,
say
greatness.
success, yeah, is it born or is it made? That's a big debate. And
Well, I think you would find that breeding, people breed horses to achieve things. They breed animals like horses, dogs, etc. Particularly horses, to get the finest, fastest, best horse. There's no doubt about it. It's not like you just take a horse and it becomes a great horse. I mean, people are the same. You have to obviously try and look for the right parents will produce a certain child. It's not always as easy as that, but generally speaking, it's along those lines. And so, in that sense, well, a child born from a well-matched couple, um, be it academic or sport, is obviously going to have certain greatness or ability built into them when they're born. And then, of course, you have the nurturing stage, which is very important, where you have to nurture the child. Now, nurturing can be achieved by spoiling the child in a wealthy environment. Maybe that helps. Can also be a case of a child that is very capable is put in very challenging circumstances as a youth, maybe in an orphanage or something. And those challenges can also uh, elicit ability in that child. So what happens to the child if the child is well born, and then on top of that, the child is placed in challenging situations, then there's no doubt that the child will grow up and be quite competent, you know, and uh, especially if they are taught in a positive manner. In other words, from when they're very small. In my case, with my children, I have a son of 8, or he's turning 8 on Sunday, and that is, whatever a child does, if they do something good, you should tell them that's good. That's really good what you've done, and don't chastise them if they make a mistake. Tell them to try it again, try and do it again, and to build up the confidence of the child. It's very important to build up the confidence of a child, not false confidence, but confidence. And it's only the tiny things that will build up the confidence, you know, and they with a child, and you'll see the difference in the child immediately when you, instead of chastising, praise the child. You know.
Totally. Thank you very much for that. Here in Spain, the media talk about a lot about this. That the media claims that Elon grew up. Just referring to what you were saying, like they say that he grew up in a privileged surrounding. He was handed everything in a silver platter. That he lived like a prince, and his success stems entirely from that. So I wanted to ask you, what was the real story, and what was life actually at home, and what do you think about these claims that Spanish media are making?
Well, yeah, I did well. So my children, Elon, Kimbal, and Tosca, as I say, the first home they knew is today the home of the European ambassador to South Africa. So it's one of the finer homes in the country. So that's where they lived. We always had a twin-engine airplane. We always had our own airstrip. We had our own airfield at the lodge in the bush. We had our own yacht at sea. So they went to school in a Rolls Royce most of the time. So therefore, one would say yes, they had and they had access to horses. We had a lot of horses on our place. So they had a privileged background, and they did travel a lot. So by the time they were about 12, 13, all three of them had been to most of the major cities in the world with me, you know. So in that respect, they had a privileged background. The other aspect of it is that as a single, later on as a single father, when May and I, their mother and I divorced, Elon was 8 years old. Up to that point, we shared the children, looking after the children. Mostly she looked after the children. But then afterwards, the boys continued to stay with me until they finished school. And as a single father, you know, I demanded a lot of responsibility from them. So I insisted that they show responsibility in everything we did. So even when we traveled overseas, they had to look after their little sister. And, you know, it wasn't a game, it was real. And, you know, the result was that by the age of, 14, I could have my younger son, Kimbal, handled financial things for me. You know, he had his own checkbook. He could write checks for me. He could deal with things. And so I inculcated in him an adult type of, at an early age, a more like adult sense of responsibility. So although we were relatively privileged, we had a certain amount of discipline that was required to do the things that we did, because sometimes we would travel between two countries or three countries in 2 days, and this required the children to be, really up on it, and look after themselves properly. So they were privileged, but at the same time, I was a demanding father.
Yes, to get a little deeper into that, what were the values or the rules or the non-negotiables in your household when you were raising your kids? If there's something that
Well, it wasn't so much that I had to do that, because my boys and my daughter, she grew up with her mother, but she came to us often for holidays. But my boys were very, very good. I didn't have to do anything. They were very obedient and very easy boys to deal with. An example is, when they were at high school, um, I heard one day with the adults that you have to sign the children's homework. So I thought about, well, what's that? And then later I saw my younger son, Kimbal, and I said, what's this about signing homework? And he said, oh, Dad, don't worry. I've been signing for you for years now. so, so that was the kind of situation I had with my children. I didn't have to do their homework, and I didn't have to sign their homework. They were very up on it. on things, you know, which obviously you can see today in how they behave, you know.
And looking back, did you always have a feeling that Elon, Kimbal, Tosca were destined for something big? Like, did you have the, or what was your impression?
No, no, you know, as a father raising them, I was the one who provided everything. So I didn't see or anticipate a situation where I would now have to, that they would be able to do anything themselves. I presumed somehow that I would always be trying to support them. I never thought about them making a big success or anything like that. I was, if I think back to those days, hoping that they would get employment and so forth. But I never really gave it much thought. I just presumed that I would be the one who'd be providing forever. But that idea was changed very quickly. Soon after they left university, they quickly turned a small amount of money into several $100 million.
Amazing.
2.5 years.
Crazy. What's something about Elon that the world doesn't know but should?
Well, you know, Elon is a very kind boy. He's a very decent and has, you know, very decent moral attitudes, somewhat over the top, you know. He's a religious boy. Um, you know, he believes in God and he believes in a Christian way and so forth. Um, he's not a holy roller, but he's deep down he believes in the teachings of Jesus, and so he tries to apply those sort of rules in his own life. You know, try to be fair and not discriminate against people, or not, you know, do things that could be viewed as a bad move or something like that. He also believes in, if he gives his word, he's got to stick to it. He's got a sort of, you know, uh, heavy belief that if he says he will do something, that he does it, you know. And often I've said to him, well, you know, you could use an excuse. No, no, he will. If he said he's going to do something, then he feels he's moral bound to do it. So he's a very nice man. He's a very unusual sort of person in that respect, you know. And it's because he's like that that so many people, about 250,000 people, work for him, and people around the world see him in a very good light, you know.
100%. Here's one of them. Just a couple of last questions. What advice would you give to the father of a future billionaire?
To a father of a future
Yeah,
billionaire,
a father in general. What advice would you
or a
give
father.
a father?
Well, you know, value your son, look for his qualities, and whatever he does that's good, as I said earlier, make sure that from a very early age, I'm talking about from the age of 1 to 5 or 6, you must praise the child. If the child does anything, uh, uh, you know, anything, anything at all that's praiseworthy, then you should praise the child, and you should avoid chastising the child as much as possible. In other words, try and avoid all chastising. Rather focus on praising. And praising might include a little bit of explaining. But if you praise the child for the little things that the child does, the child will then try to do more of that. Children are very pliable. They are very, very easy. The children are the ones that easily believe in God, easily believe in Jesus, easily believe um, in heaven and goodness. The children are very easy. They automatically go into that mode. But when you chastise them, you turn them bitter. And sometimes also children have their own ideas. And so they might want to say to you that I would like to, simple example, I would like to take my plate of food and sit on the steps outside while everyone else is sitting inside. Let the child go and sit on the steps outside. Don't stop the child from doing that. No, come and sit here. You must sit here. You must do this. You must do that. Listen to the child sometimes, and you'll see. incredible things happen.
Amazing
Listen to the
words.
child.
Errol,
Yes.
what makes you great at what you are?
What makes me?
Yeah, what
Um,
makes you great at
well,
what you
I have a lot of experience now, and I'm able to talk from experience.
I don't listen to you, Rio. Sorry.
So
Yeah, no. Now I listen to you. Yeah.
I say, all the experience in the world it helps a lot, but every day something new comes along, and you are, you know, um, you have to start from scratch on something new that you haven't experienced before. Doesn't matter who you are or how old you are. There's always some new thing that you've never experienced before, but you do your best to deal with it, and using the tools that you've learned through the years, obviously, and it's fascinating. Also, talking about children again, I have this young boy, and I had the other young boys, of course. When you do praise them and show them what they, when they do something good, and you encourage them and praise them, sometimes they will come along when you've got a problem and say, "Dad, this is how you can do this," and then you turn around and you think, "I can't believe this, that this little chap is telling me how to solve a problem," and it's only because I gave him those tools.
Wow.
So
What's
yeah.
your definition of success? How would you define success nowadays?
Well, uh, I would say that nearly everybody who has been so-called successful, if you ask them, do you feel you've been successful? They will say no. So if you said to Elon, so do you feel successful? They asked him this the other day, and I've actually said this about it before. About a month ago, a week, 3 weeks ago, or something, they asked Elon, are you very satisfied with SpaceX, success of SpaceX? And he said, no, no, I would like to be where I am now about 7 years ago, you see. So, um, success is not something that is tangible. It's like being famous. It's not tangible. You never really feel a complete success. I think it's a dream to feel fully successful, but inevitably, um, success is followed by more problems, more things to solve. So, but at times you do feel a little successful, and nothing wrong with having a beer over it. No, nothing wrong.
Cheers to that. This is the last question, Errol. What advice would you give a 19-year-old with a big idea today?
Well, there are many of them with big ideas. I would say make sure you get some qualifications behind you, something. You know, uh, All right, there are people who got a good idea, well, and you really believe in your idea, then the thing is to push for that idea, like I said earlier, with everything you got, where you sleep it, drink it, eat it, you know, all day, 24 hours a day, then you'll get somewhere, you know. But
Obsession, more or less. No, you need to be obsessed, perhaps.
yes, you have to be obsessed with it, and those are the people, you can think of them, in recent times, like Steve Jobs, Elon, they were obsessed with the things they were doing, obsessed to the point of pushing themselves to ruining their health, ruining ruining themselves financially, that type of obsession. So also when you're at the age of 19, get advice from your elders. Don't hesitate to listen to every single bit of advice you can get from someone who's twice your age. Don't think you know everything. And when you ask people, don't ask them for answers, just ask them for their experience. I'm talking to a 19-year-old, and the older person will share their experiences with you without realizing at the same time they're teaching you lessons. And in that way, you can avoid pitfalls that lay in front of you. So there aren't many 19-year-olds who actually have a big idea and actually make it work. Very few. And so if ever, but it's a case of being obsessed with it and taking advice wherever you can. Wherever you can,
Amazing words, Errol. Thank you very much. Just to finish, if you have any quote that has accompanied you, or I don't know, a mantra, a quote, a small phrase that motivates us to end.
Well, I would say whenever you're faced with a serious situation, and not only a serious situation, but a difficult situation or something, just to pray to God for strength of mind and strength of body. And when I think of Elon going into meetings, I say, God, please give him strength of mind, strength of body. That's what
Strength
works.
of mind and strength of body. Thank you very much, Errol, for your time. And thank you for inspiring all of us who are here.
Thank you.
Maybe Spain is not in your list, but perhaps someday, if you need anything from Spain or from myself, of course.
Yeah, I've been to
Here I am.
Spain a number of times. I've been to Spain a number of times and really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it, especially
Wow.
the Costa del Sol and so on. And
Yes, yes, yes.
up at what's the other end? The beautiful city. Wait, the
Um,
church. What's it? The other end? It starts with a B. Can't
Be-
remember.
Be- Benidorm could be or no?
No.
Benalmádena,
Further up. No.
Barcelona.
Barcelona. Yeah,
Yeah,
Barcelona.
Barcelona, of course,
Barcelona
Barcelona.
is very
Yeah,
nice. Very nice.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And of course, I enjoy Madrid, and I've been to Segovia, and I've been to, is it Tabriz or something? And I've been to all of the cities there, Segovia, all of
And
that.
Errol, do you normally do keynote speaking also in events and this type of situations? Like for a
Well,
fee,
yeah,
of course.
whatever people ask for me, I will try and do it, if they ask me, I'll do it. So I don't charge anything. And so, yeah, so if they like it, I'll do it.
Oh, okay. I have good friends that organize startup entrepreneurial events here, so perhaps maybe. And yeah, but yeah, Madrid is very
Okay.
nice also. We don't have beach,
Okay.
but so I'll
Where are
I need to
you?
go.
Are you in Madrid?
Yeah, I'm in Madrid. Madrid centers.
Madrid's
Yeah.
very nice. A very nice place. Lovely place. Absolutely
It's
lovely.
now, yeah, there's lots of entrepreneurial also ambience, so lots of VCs and this and that, but well, it's still not Silicon Valley, but I want to go to Silicon Valley or to San Francisco eventually, a couple of years perhaps, live there, the experience, and maybe also South Africa. I'll need to visit.
Yeah. So I was in Silicon Valley at Stanford 2 weeks ago, as I say earlier,
Yeah.
giving a talk at Stanford. Yeah.
Do you like it
All right.
or?
Yeah, it's very nice. It's the first world on steroids. It's unbelievable.
It's crazy. Everything. It's a magical
Yeah.
place where everything happens. So sure that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Hero. Yet
Yeah.
again, I know I said it a lot, but thank you very much. And
All right.
perhaps who knows? Maybe we meet in Madrid or in
Okay.
Silicon Valley, but Madrid.
Okay.
Have a
Okay.
nice
Keep
one.
in touch.
Thank you.
You too.
Same.
Bye.
Bye bye.